took place, but I wanted to get to her report from the Nightly News before she gets into another report that she's going to preview for us. It's coming up on the Nightly News this evening on an artificial intelligence conference, an international conference taking place in Austin, Texas right now, where all these top experts are saying humans need to take control of our destiny and not let the machines take over. Well, they're being engineered by the globalists on record to be autonomous, like Tyrannus, the BAE systems, British Air Systems, I'm not joking, that is a stealth, autonomous, kill robot aircraft. It's already gone to this. They're about to get rid of the human operators. We told you this a long time ago. It's all been announced. That's coming up in a moment. But first, her report on Barrett Brown and the persecution of the press.
Well, if you haven't heard already, political prisoner Barrett Brown was sentenced today to 63 months in prison on trumped-up charges for basically exposing the shady relationship between intelligence contractors and the U.S. government. Here's Leanne McAdoo to tell us why the Barrett Brown case is vitally important to freedom in America.
American journalist and activist Barrett Brown first landed on the FBI's radar through his journalistic activities with a crowdsourced investigation called Project PM. Project PM was intended to provide a centralized data set regarding the expanding capabilities of the surveillance state and other issues constituting threats to human rights and the health of democratic institutions. Brown was originally facing decades of prison time for copying and pasting a link to a publicly available file. Journalists shouldn't face prosecution for linking to source material, so journalists everywhere should be paying very close attention to what happens in Barrett Brown's case. But not only that, anyone who uses social media should be paying attention as well. 6 months after the March 2012 FBI raid on his mother's home, he tweeted, "Dead men can't leak stuff. Illegally shoot the son of a bee." Now, of course, upon first glance, that sounds like an incitement to murder. And indeed, the FBI even claimed that the tweet was targeted toward one of their agents. But here's the thing. The tweet was actually a quote of Fox News host Bob Beckel. Beckel was using his primetime news hour to call for the assassination of WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange.
The way to deal with this is pretty simple. We got special ops forces. I mean, a dead man can't leak stuff. This guy's a traitor, a treasonous, and he has broken every law of the United States. The guy ought to be, and I'm not for the death penalty, so if I'm not for the death penalty, the only one to do it, illegally shoot the son of a...
The FBI took no action against Bob Beckel or numerous others who were openly calling for a mystery bullet to take out Julian Assange. Instead, 2 days after Barrett tweeted the Bob Beckel statement, the FBI arrested not Bob Beckel, but Barrett Brown, and he's been in jail ever since. Assange warned social media users of this vulnerability, writing, "Twitter is a police interview that never ends. Facebook has all of your friends wearing a wire, and YouTube has you in the dock talking to the judge." Every social media user creates a vast library of statements that may be taken out of context by vengeful or ambitious officials. Users should be displayed their Miranda rights each time they log on. Keep this in mind as the Obama administration is pushing for CISPA 2.0, which will effectively allow governments to demand that companies hand over user data without the need for warrants or subpoenas. With stronger cybersecurity laws will come harsher punishment.
Alex Jones here, back live. InfoWars Nightly News anchor Leanne McAdoo, investigative journalist, joins us. Leanne, for those that don't know about Barrett Brown, they just convicted a CIA whistleblower that exposed criminal activity to a big federal prison sentence today. Barrett Brown linked to a public document and then quoted a Fox News reporter, and now he's in jail. The White House has a war on journalists, and the average journalist won't even get up in arms to defend their own profession in the First Amendment. There is no common sense out there in the establishment.
Right. Well, it's just like when we had a lot of people were coming after you saying, oh, well, we should drone him. We should take him out. Right there, using their platform of a news hour broadcast to call for your death.
I forgot Fox News said I should be droned or tased.
Yeah. And that's exactly what they were saying about the WikiLeaks founder, Julian Assange. And I mean, just show after show after show calling. So all Barrett Brown did was repeat what this Bob Buckle said. And then that was when they finally just came in about 2 days later and took him to jail.
And he's in jail for 63 months. He'll serve almost the whole sentence federally. That's hard time, as they call it, for retweeting what a Fox News guy said. Well, and linking to a document.
Yes, the initial thing that, they got him on the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act because he linked to a publicly available document. They were building this sort of dossier. And
we do that all the time. I mean,
what's in it? What's attached to it? He didn't even know what was there. He was just helping with his investigation, and apparently,
well, you've got to open files to know what's in them.
Yeah, and they had the whole track through his emails and his IMs and everything, where he's saying he doesn't know what's in it, but he links to it because it's part of the story and everything with his blog. But apparently, it had some credit cards attached to it, or private information.
And so now anybody can open an email by accident, or anybody could go to the WikiLeaks website, and now the FBI will throw you in prison. Exactly. This is nothing but a huge chilling effect.
Exactly. And that's what it is to silence whistleblowers, silence journalists, keep them from exposing this information, because then they can say, oh, well, you shouldn't have put that out there, national security issue, things like that. And it is a chill for journalists.
Well, I mean, some mainstream news has been calling it tyranny, but if we don't see a bigger backlash, this is going to set the precedent, and it really is frightening.
Yeah, well, and they can just call for your death right on cable news, and primetime news hour, call for your death. But that's not an issue. I
forgot when on Piers Morgan, they said, yeah, get a gun, shoot him right here in the studio. And they said, yeah, I'd love to kill him. And they all agreed, let's murder him.
Exactly.
And they can say it's a joke, but when you start calling for violence, it crosses the line in precedent, federal and state, and in common law. If I would have said, let's shoot Piers Morgan, close quote. I didn't just say that, by the way. I said if I was to have said that hypothetically, as he said about me, and Buzz Bissinger said, then I would be indicted.
Absolutely. And that's the issue here, is that cherry picking how they're going to prosecute or who they're going to charge. And that's okay because, you're part of the establishment.
Well, look at this report out of Breitbart. Indiana Governor Mike Pence to launch state-run news site. The Indianapolis Star is reporting that potential 2016 presidential hopeful Governor Mike Pence, Republican, plans to launch a state-run news site that will offer pre-written articles to Indiana news outlets, as well as sometimes break news stories about his administration. The White House has already moved to this several years ago.
Right.
The reason they can do it is when the mainstream media regurgitate whole cloth what they're told, you make yourselves obsolete. That's why the CIA came out a decade ago and rolled it out 3 years ago. Computers that write the news and put fake names on it. They just put in the pre-scripted disinfo. It scrambles it to make it look like a human wrote it. It'll even add a typo to make it. They found that makes it look more legitimate. Mm-hmm. And they caught the CIA will put a typo in the headline. For some reason, they found makes people buy it more. I don't understand it. They've got the algorithms. So. Wow. That's why this is really happening. But now Republicans and Democrats are up in arms about this. Why are they? I mean, I'm not saying it's good, but why are they up in arms when this is what the whole federal government does? They just don't want the competition.
Exactly, or it's that it's out there in the public now. But I mean, we reported this a year or so ago when they lifted the ban on spreading propaganda to the continental.
Well, CIA disinformation, yeah.
Yeah, allegedly they were only doing it overseas, but now they're openly, they can just get us propaganda right here on the news.
Shifting gears, you've got like a 5-minute clip. There'll be more on the nightly news tonight that you're going to be hosting 7 o'clock Central. Again, Leanne McAdoo here in the Infowars.com news studios. You've gone to this international conference being held in Austin, Artificial Intelligence Open House, Monday, January 26th at the Hyatt Regency in Austin, Texas. You're going to be also reporting on some of the break-off groups. But you talked to some of the top artificial intelligence professors. You talked to the author of Artificial Intelligence, the book that was turned into a movie. You talked to a bunch of other folks about the IBM Watson, you name it, that's deciding which troops to not give health care to now. That was announced last week. give me your take on this, because they're talking about being able to stop the AI anti-human takeover of Tyrannus. That's the BAE system, the aircraft that kills people and makes its own decisions. That's what all this is going to, but we still have time to stop it, don't we, Leanne?
Absolutely, and that was kind of my takeaway from that experience, because initially I went there, I was thinking I was going to see, robo girlfriends and all sort of eye tracking and mosquito drones, and I was like, oh, I'm going to get some good stuff on camera. And then I go there, and it was just like poster boards up on the wall with like, here's what we want to do. And it was kind of disappointing. But then when I left, I realized that that is actually a great thing, because these systems, this malevolent takeover that science fiction is basically warning us is going to happen, isn't here just yet. We have the opportunity to really press down and say, we need to be responsible with what we are creating and this technology that we're creating, because it is a part of our human evolution. That's what humans do.
We supposedly try to control our environment